What is a materialistic purchase that you just absolutely like, the worth of it and the value of it is worth having it be categorized as a materialistic purchase for you?
Oh, so it's like something I bought that's like, this is totally worth the money.
Yep.
Ooh. What is something? And let's exclude phones.
Fair.
Because you take my phone away,
Yeah.
like then I can't work.
That
like
literally
like
would
on
be
the
your
go.
kryptonite.
Obviously computers are out.
Yep.
I will say, I'm gonna say this one. This isn't my real one. And I'm gonna pitch it to you and then come back to me. The first one that I think about a lot when I travel is I have a lot of hard drives that have Artist Academy videos on it, podcast videos, the Enneagram training video. And I'm like, if anybody ever stole my backpack,
Oh, that's the worst.
dude, like I need to have backups of backups.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of not just money like spent, like just time and content.
Oh
on
my
those.
gosh. Yes.
So those are well worth the money, but that's not the answer you were looking for. What I'm going to still think about mine. What's one that comes to your mind?
Automatically. So it is a vehicle. And it was one, I have a C7 Corvette. I'm going to be really specific. It's not the top of the line model, but it is a track version of that. And it is a Swiss Army knife. I love everything about it. I bought it on, I saved up my cash tips. Shout out to financial management. And again, the reason it's so worth it to me, it was something that, I don't know. At the time, it was a goal that I thought that was going to be a lot farther out there. Yeah, I love every part about it. The design of it, the team that made it, the whole thing is just beautifully brilliant. And like I said, it is not like the one with all of the bells and whistles. It's specifically the one that's meant for tracking and is ready to take that abuse.
All right, let's talk about, you said Swiss Army knife. If you're 6'3", it's not that great of a car. It's a great car. So we took a 4-hour trip and
From SOS.
Yeah, and you drove the SOB to basically Minneapolis, River Falls. Yep. With
loaded with gear.
And I rode back in this thing, and dude, it is so tight. Like they did not design that for tall people.
No. Well, and also though, like maybe the seat could have done more things. We literally, like, I remember Mark Beauclair and his whole team looking at us. They're like, how are you going to fit all of this stuff in this car?
And I'm looking at like, dude, this is not practical.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm like, it's fast and it's great. Hey, can we tell a story about when we stopped at the gas station and there was a cop that was he wasn't like in full uniform. He had the polo.
Oh no, he wasn't I don't think he was in uniform at all. It just looked like these boys were like going around the country fully strapped.
And Christopher's like, oh, you're police officer. I saw the gun and I didn't realize. And they started chatting. He said, and I'm like 2 aisles over, but I'm like at the end of the aisle and you guys are near the drinks in the back of the convenience store. And they said, oh, is that your Corvette out there? And I was like, hey, we'll be asking the questions here. And dude, you turned around like, oh my God, dude, you're about to get us killed. And they started laughing as well. So that was good.
You know, that whole, we're not going to go into the rest of it, but that whole gas station experience was just, rolling.
What did that lady say?
Oh, I don't think it's appropriate to put on the podcast, probably.
I can't remember. She said something. She said like she has, did she say she liked bad boys or something? I can't remember.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I can't remember. But she said that she had a Corvette, but like with her accent and how fast she was talking and mumbling, we thought she said something really inappropriate. And we're both like, wait, what? What did she say? And then she said it again. We're like, oh, she's talking about the car.
Yep.
Okay. So
I wish those police officers could have been in there for that part too.
Yeah. So, a thing that I bought I'm not a very materialistic person. Things that are sentimental to me is my guitar that I had when I was in the band. It's a custom shop Gibson. I got real lucky getting that guitar. I have an amp that it's a Buddha amp, but it was before they sold out to PV amp. So it was like custom, small company. So those are two things I'll never give away. There's an app on my phone called Flighty that I talked about on another podcast. So if you fly a lot, definitely worth the money. Oh, I know what it is. It's not. It's a digital asset. YouTube Premium. Dude,
Done. Yep.
Listen, it's $18. I think it's $18, and I don't want to pay $18 for YouTube Premium, but I watch a lot of YouTube.
Same.
Like when I get home, that's probably 80% before I watch YouTube TV, Paramount,
Yep. Same.
Netflix.
Yep.
And so I factored up how often commercials are in YouTube, and then I factored up how many hours of YouTube I watch. Then I factor up how many commercials are in those hours, and then factored up over a month and a year. And I was like, you know what? My time is more valuable
100%
than $18.
And here's the other part. Like, and I love that you said this one, and I didn't even think of it, but I think that is the best one. That is the best one that we both share in that way. Here's the thing. Like, it's not just about the time that it saves you, but like when you need to know something and when you need to learn something. And if you're like looking at something DIY, I sometimes don't have the time for the ad, right? Like, it's like, I need this right
I need it now.
Yeah.
It just pissed me off. Another thing, if you got Spotify or Apple Music and you're not paying for the premium, like, what are you doing with your life? Like, if you're still using Pandora, my buddy will listen to Pandora.
Yep.
And it's just random song. Like, he can't just pick a song.
That's terrorism.
Dude, I know we're going long on this, but I remember being in a band on the road, and there's an app came out with Spotify that was called Rdio, and it's where you could stream music. And people are like, oh, this is cool. I'm like, guys, you can listen to any song you want. Like, kids nowadays just don't understand. We would have to go buy CDs.
Oh, yeah.
Before that, tapes. I remember I was telling a story on 9/11. POD came out with, this is when 9/11 happened. POD released their new album. And I remember going to the store that morning, first thing to get the album. And like, those days are gone. And like, there's something of excitement when that happens.
Yeah.
It's like going to Blockbuster on a Friday night. Like, it's just something, it just makes you feel good.
Right. And it's interesting how much that tech has changed that experience.
Yeah. It's great that it's at our fingertips. I don't know if I would want to go back.
Absolutely not.
But I mean, I do like just picking a movie on my TV and watching it. But the going to a Blockbuster on Friday night was pretty sweet. So anyway, we went long on this. Let's jump into today's content.
So today we are going to be Mel Robbins. And I will just say, if you've never heard of her before, another brilliant thought leader. I've consumed a lot of her stuff. This newest, I think it's still her newest. I believe it is her newest book. The 5-second rule. If you've never heard of that will change your life. I'm such a huge component and such a huge believer in her. She's an amazing speaker. Her story is fantastic. So check out Mel Robbins, and we are going to jump into one of her recent sharings on what is called the let them theory.
Fastest way to take control of your life is to stop controlling everyone around you. You have no idea how much time and energy and attention you are wasting trying to control other people. You have no idea how much energy you are burning through thinking about, worrying about, obsessing about what other people are doing, what they're not doing, what they're feeling, all of which you have zero control over. And so the let them theory is this simple theory that I credit my daughter with teaching me, that has created so much peace in my life. Because like every other human being on the planet, I had no idea how many opinions, how much frustration and expectations I had about what other people were doing or what they should be doing. Like, it's just unreal how obsessed we all are with everybody else and what they should be doing and what they're not doing.
All right. First off, that piano in the background is so out of tune. Like it was clashing out. Did you hear that? Because I know, like, my musician ear, I'll hear things that most people don't hear.
Yeah, in my mind, I'm sitting here, I'm like, this road thing that we're using, what is it?
Podcast Rode Podcaster. Hang on. No. What? My God, you messed me up. Let's see. Rode Pro Podcaster Pro 2. There
Perfect. I was like, I didn't hear, like, I heard that there was a background to it, but I was like, did this thing like somehow have the ability to
auto tune it?
Yeah, it was incredible.
I didn't hear that the first few times, but as we're listening, I was like, man, this keyboard is out of tune.
I love that you can tell that. You could have asked, like, what is the wrong thing, and be like, I have no idea. Like, would never have known.
It'd be weird to like to have like your ears. Like,
here's okay. So here's the part. Like, this is and again, we've now both been blessed with this, right? So and maybe it applies loosely to it, but like in the idea of it, like, that's the silencing. You're like, hey, this is incredibly out of tune, and I'm just going to let them. Like that human. Like,
I don't know if I can let them play.
Well, right. So and I love how this plays in. I had a situation that railroaded me a little bit this morning, and at the end of the day, I looked at it, I was like, okay, how does this actually impact my day? It truly doesn't, right?
Right.
Why am I concerned? I'm concerned about the experience of others at this impact. But even in that situation, that's not mine to deal with, right?
Yep.
And I think the part that is so beautiful about this, and the reason I was excited to share this one is that it literally, like, you can apply this in everywhere in your life, right? You can apply this at work, you can apply this at home, you can apply this with your family, you can apply this with your friends, you can apply this at strangers, you can apply this at the grocery store, right? And the part for me that I think just speaks so loudly is, like, we all have such different levels of awareness and perception and what we make those things mean and how it impacts us, right? The part, I think, as I lean into the let them theory, and this is where this kind of builds really well on a prior episode, but I think, I mean, for me, like, if it's that big of an issue, I just want to calmly communicate that if there's a boundary or something that happened from an expectation standpoint that wasn't met, and also say, hey, and it's going to be okay, right?
Yeah.
And just release it, right? I think there's so many things that this can hit on in communication. What did you think about?
Yeah. So
other than the piano being out of tune.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get past that. No. Luckily, I heard it beforehand without the piano out of tune. Yeah, I mean, I think I told you this since you've been here, is like, control the things that you can control. And I tell myself that a lot. We use that in our marriage, use that in our business. Control the things you can control. And people are flawed. We're all flawed, right?
Yep.
So in that moment where people do things that hurt us, let them.
Yep.
Now, what I'm not saying is let them run havoc in your business.
For sure.
Yeah. So don't be like, well, I heard your podcast. You said let them come in late and let them wear whatever they want. Let them talk to no, I'm not talking about that. Saying this is like more personal.
Yep.
People leave your company and they run your name through the mud. Let them.
Ugh.
That's a hard one.
Yep.
So let them. A sure man doesn't have to shout. So when people are dragging your name through the mud, if your integrity shines and you do the right thing and you can put your head down at night and be like, you know what? I woke up this morning and served people today and I'm doing the best thing. You don't have to shout.
Yep.
Your integrity will speak.
Yep.
And I've lived that firsthand. And there were times where I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to get out of this.
Yep.
I think my reputation is going to be tarnished. And people come up to me and they're like, hey, we know if you messed up, you would apologize because you're not afraid of apologizing. And I'm not.
Yeah. No,
I'm just
your
like,
speed to that in any situation, you're so you're so fast.
Well, why mess around and try to be right? You know,
It's a
I want to
great
win the
question.
relationship instead of winning the argument.
Yep.
And there's things. So I was at this kind of going off track here. So I meet up with some friends and we're at this lounge. Well, it's a cigar lounge. When I said lounge, it kind of sounded like I was like
Good to clarify.
Gentleman's club.
Yep.
So I was at the cigar lounge and this guy was we're talking about LeBron James. Well, he turns around and just starts getting argumentative. And he's not at a different table. He's like, LeBron James sucks. Like Michael Jordan's so much better and blah, blah, blah. And I just looked down. I was like, okay, man, that's cool. Like, I'm not going to argue with you.
Yep.
Like that, this is just not a debate. Like first off, it's sports. Like who cares?
Right.
But the guy sitting with, he's like, man, you handled that really well. And I said, well, I mean, I'm not going to debate with this guy that I don't know about who's better, LeBron or Michael.
Yeah.
Honestly, people debate about it all the time. I'm like, I don't care. They're two great players.
Yeah.
You know? So going back, like with the let them thing is really impacted us with people leaving our company, talking about us, and it's made me a better leader. It's made me connect with people a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, the part, I guess, for me, and when I think back to this one of a situation that comes in that I wish I would have known this and I would have applied it better. When I was behind the chair, and I just look back to those days and the amount of things and the amount of plates I was trying to spin and do all of these things, and there would be one thing that would hit something that was like a core nerve of mine. I just remember that I would carry that energy unnecessarily. Like I'd carry that energy into that client's appointment, and then I would carry that energy into talking to someone, while I was mixing color, right? And when I think back to it, just, yes, I'm going to acknowledge it happened. Is it something, I think that in the moment of it for me is like, is it something that that I'm going to choose to communicate about? Like, was there a boundary that was disrespected? Is there a standard or an expectation that we just have to be reviewed? But in that moment of it though, I think when you understand what let them really means is if I'm saying I'm going to let them, I'm also going to give myself permission not to hold it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, hey, I can see that, in your humanness, that is a choice, whether consciously or unconsciously, that you've landed in. And if it does, I'm so sorry.
Hey, there's that timer you set that was supposed to be vibrate.
Yep. Good job, Apple. So y'all, I am jumping on a call right after this, but I'm going to share this point. The thing that I want to just share, and I think it's so applicable to the salon. We have such high stimuli environments, right? And there's so much that goes on within a day. So many personalities, so many decisions that have to be made. And the thing is, I think when you lean into let them, you just create a lot of space. And when your team understands that you're going to have the ability to be patient and calm within, a challenging situation, I think everyone just understands that we're going to breathe a little bit easier, right? Yep. I always think Scott is a dear friend and mentor of mine. He's a battalion chief for the Chicago Fire Department. Man has an incredibly stressful job. And in the space of chaos, that human just gets calmer and calmer. And he always just shared, he's like, hey, like my energy, if I'm in a life or death scenario, and I need people to understand that, like,
which
hey,
most of the time we're not in a life and death scenario.
Right. And I share this though, because like if you really crank everything up, it goes there, right? Or I shouldn't say that, not everything. There's a capacity too. But what I learned from what he said is like I have control over this. And by him keeping control over that, that is the space that he can control. Right. So at whatever place of, something negative, triggering, blindsiding that happens, like you're almost putting the thing into slow motion when you go in to let them, because it's just like, okay, I see you. What do I need to make this mean? What does it mean? What are the things that are consequences? What, have I lost anything? Do I need to repair anything? And then immediately just, okay, cool. That's another thing.
Yeah, I mean, you just think about all the I don't want to say baggage, but the things that we carry around that the word "let them" would just release.
Yep.
Have you heard my hula hoop analogy?
Mm-mm.
So I have a hula hoop in our office, and a friend shared this with me. Everything inside of a hula hoop is what we can control.
Mm.
And that's, I mean, anything we have control over. Like I control my attitude, I control my drive, I control everything. And then outside of that hula hoop is everything I can't control, but I can influence.
Mm.
And when you start to take things from outside the hula hoop, that might be a situation with your parents, a friend, a spouse, anything relationally, things that are going on politically, going on in the world. If you try to take that and put it inside the hula hoop where it's not meant to be, it's going to leave you desperate, drained, burned out. And he shared that with me because there was a situation I was going through that was outside the hula hoop that I was trying to put inside the hula hoop. And dude, it was like a light switch. I said, you know what? This is outside the hula hoop. I can't let this affect me.
Yep.
I can influence. I can be there for support. And I'm telling you, it was a game changer.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and there's anything in your life that you're like, oh my God, I have something outside the hula hoop that I'm putting inside the hula hoop, it will set you free to, and that's other people's opinions that we try to put inside that hula hoop.
I'm sitting here in my mind, and I know I'm about to timestamp this again. I know that you love it when you do that. Here's the part though, like it's all timing and it's all divine timing, but this is something like understanding the next election, that cycle in 4 years, we will put out content to equip salons and equip people in salons to say, hey, you're about to go through a time and a period that everyone is going to be sharing things at 40 volume. And I shouldn't say that. Not everyone does. Some people choose to share things at 40 volume when you could have put 10 volume on it. And just to equip people to understand, hey, hurt people. And at the end of the day, that doesn't have to mean anything about you. And as long as you're sure and clear about what your values are and what matters, it doesn't even have to be absorbed. Yeah, that's a Mel Robbins. Yeah.
Let them.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks for listening to the Refined Network podcast, or anything we can do to serve you guys. Reach out. hello@therefinednetwork.com.